So now what I want to talk about is Black Star Flower Farm. So here's the first block. So I'm just going to show you what we're going to be doing. So this is the block. It's on a homespun background. So the front and the back are exactly the same on this one. You have a fuzzy side and a flat side. So you decide what side you like best. I like the fuzzy side. So I made sure that my blocks always had the fuzzy side up. Now, I have something very special for you. And I just want to show you, it comes two ways. It comes the wool version or it comes the cotton version. So there's the cotton version. So it's all homespun cottons. So if Kaylee can get a great shot, perfect. That looks beautiful. So do you see these are, if you're allergic to wool and you know how to needle turn, you turn all of these under those edges. Very, very awesome that way. But we sell kits for both. But when you buy the kit for the cotton version, you get all the fat quarters at one time. And then we just ship you the pattern each month. All right. If you order the wool version, you can order this as a full kit. And again, these are going to be on comment sold with us. So you can order it there as well. But you can order this as a full kit and pay in full, and you will get the background and the first block. And then each month, we're going to ship you the wool kit and the pattern for each month. Now, this is an ongoing project. I just want to point out that this is just a rough draft here. It's 12 blocks and then a center block. So, and then we're going to have sashing, stars, and borders. So I have some fabrics over here. So when maybe we show this other angle later on, Kaylee can swap over here and show you those fabrics we have picked out for the sashings, the stars, and the borders. Okay. You also, if you pay in full, like I said, it's much cheaper to pay in full. If you pay monthly, it's a little bit more expensive, like $5 or $10 more a month. I don't know exactly. But if you pay at one lump sum, it's easier for us. We don't have to charge your card each time, that kind of stuff. And I can just kind of show you a couple of the other blocks. I have all 12 blocks done here. So there's a couple baskets. There's a couple just flowers. All right. So they're all beautiful, beautiful blocks. I'm not going to waste a lot of time going through them all, but I just gave you a little peek at them. So now the pattern for this will be free on our blog, and Heidi's going to post it on the blog shortly after our live here. Is it going to be after comments sold too?
Well, yeah,
well, yeah.
I don't have a break between the two.
All right, so later today, it will be up on our website. So this is what you're going to get if you order it. You get, like I said, monthly. You're going to get the kit here, whether you pay in full or not. And then you're going to get the background hunk with the first block, whether you buy it monthly or whether you pay in full. Okay, with the wool version. So this is what you get. Now, I have a super fun thing I'm going to do, because I'm going to completely do another block here. I'm going to take this fabric, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut 3 blocks because that's what the directions say. In here are my directions. So I don't know if Kaylee can really swoop up on here, or I can maybe walk this around. But it gives you a diagram here. There we go. On how to cut your 12 blocks, your sashings, your big block, and whatever that is down there. Okay? So we give you a diagram on how to cut up your 4 yards of fabric here. And I'm going to do that shortly, but not right away. There's that piece I was looking for. You know, you get ready, you prep, and you're like, okay, where's my stem? Where's my stem? After you cut another one, that's when you find it. So you're going to take your pattern, and you're going to cut off, you're going to trim off this line here on the red, and you're going to tape them together. So this is my full layout here. Oh, let's do the light here. Okay, there we go. So I got the full layout right here of my block. And then these are my tracing pieces here. We're not going to trace from here. We're going to trace from these pieces down here. All right. So I have done most of the tracing already on the Heat and Bond Feather Light. That's what I used. And I have one set to trace yet, so I thought I would even show you how I trace. So Kaylee's going to come around here, and we're going to talk about how I did that, how I trace. All right. So I've already, this tells me what wool it goes on. And this is the size of wool we cut in your kit for each one. So I've already traced this whole page here already. I only have this piece right here to do. Where are my camera here? These gray pieces here. So I am just going to put my fusible web right on here. And I am going to trace those for you. So I'll just keep tracing. I like to trace with a fine tip marker. I don't care what color it is. And when you trace, you're always looking ahead. That's how I can trace so fast, is because I'm not looking where I am. I'm looking ahead. Now, if I wiggle a little bit, it's okay. When I cut them out, that's when I straighten out my wiggles. So I'm doing this pretty fast here to get it done. No pressure, right? Tracing on camera. I don't like pointy things either. I don't know if you've noticed that, but my leaves are never pointy. I like to round them off. Now, if you trace exactly how I do, you will then rough cut around the perimeter about 1/8 inch away from the edge of your tracing and cut it out as one whole piece. All right, now I'm not going to trace my stems here because I want to put my stems on the Steam-A-Seam 2 light because this is tacky and it'll let me bend my leaves or my stems how I need them to go. And you'll know what I'm talking about when I do it. But you're going to take a piece of fusible web of that Steam-A-Seam 2 and you're going to cut it the same size or a little bit longer according to this diagram here. So now on each and every one of my shapes, I'm going to slide over here onto my cutting board, Kaylee. I'm going to take my rotary cutter, and I usually use my little one for this, but I don't have my little one here. So I am going to use this big one. So see how I'm about 1/8 inch away around the perimeter. And I did that on every one of my shapes. See, I cut them, trace them all, and cut them all out like that. I'm just going to leave them there. All right, I'm going to slide my box this way for a minute. I'm going to take my wools and my sheet. All right, so always in order here, as in here. So the first one is going to be the bottom, and it's just going to go up to the top. So my first one is my 6 by 12.5 for the basket. So this is going to go on here, plenty of room all the way around. But I'm just going to slide it over because anything that doesn't have fusible web on it is still good to use. So I'm going to pick up my iron, and I am just going to use the heat of the iron. You do not need steam on paper. So I'm just going to always keep my iron moving and make sure I get it down really, really good. I forgot I got to cut all this out too. I should have some helpers. All right, now the next one is the black texture for the bird. So I'm going to find my bird in here, and I am going to put him on iron as well. Now, all of these videos for Black Star Farm that we do will be on a little sub channel or a sub place that you can get those and look for them at any time. So now this one is the wing and the flower middles. So where is that? That's this one here. So don't waste time cutting out all of these shapes individually. That just wastes time, and all about getting things done good and fast the first time. So then this one is the dirty snowman. So yes, so the black did not bleed onto this cream. It is meant to be modeled like that. Now, if you want, if that little fold in there bugs you, you can always put some steam on that. And here are my dirty snowman wools. Now, is there a right or wrong side? All right, on this one, these other ones were more mill dyed. They're the same on the front as the back, but this one is different. So what I do is I look at my wool and I find out which one I like better. Now, no matter what, it's not a right or wrong. You just pick the one you like the best. So if I like this side, I'm going to put the fusible on the back side, because all we are really doing is making iron-on shapes. I'm going to slide it over to save as much wool as possible. And with this feather light, you have to make sure you get it down good. If your paper is not peeling off good when you're trying to remove the backing, it's because you don't have it done, because you can't just go like that and be done. You have to really get it down good. You have to almost overheat it. So there's that one.
Hey, Lisa.
Yes.
So, there's a viewer who noticed that the wool book recommends schema theme.
Yeah.
But you have been recommending.
Right. So
she wants to know if there's any difference.
Right. Yep. That's a good question. So my book has been out for a while now. Now something has happened to the Steam-A-Seam 2 Light. It has gotten really tacky and really, for lack of a better term, gunky. It really gunks up your needle and it's hard to work with. So we've come up with using the Heat and Bond Feather Light now. So it's probably been 4 years since my book has been produced. And guess what? The next time we print that book, we will add in the feather light. So if you love using the feather light, no worries. You can still do that, right? But some people, it just frustrates them to no end. So we've kind of switched over to this feather light. Now I want to pull my, I just kind of remembered, good thing I pulled this down, because there's a couple shapes here that have the stems on it, and that's the one I'm using the Steam-A-Seam. Now, why can I use the Steam-A-Seam for the stems and vines and not the appliques? I know some of you know. Do you want to know what it is? Because we don't really stitch through the stems. I cross over them. So I'm just peeling. So the Steam-A-Seam 2 Light has a backing on it. So you pull it off and see how tacky it is. It's like super tacky. But we want that for our stems and vines. And like I said, that will show up here in a minute. So I'm going to put this along the bottom edge. Put on my Steam-A-Seam. Look at that. It works. Or not, put on my fusible there. Put that one down. Make sure that one's on good. Great question, whoever that was. All right. So now I got to do that other stem here. So Heidi, when you got a minute, can you go grab my scissors from my sewing machine in the other room? Thanks. All right. So now I have everything down and good. I'm going to do some of the easy things first. So now, put my cap. I always lose the cap. I know I should put it on the back side, but some of me doesn't always get that. So this is the scissors that I love to use for all of my wool cutting.
Put it down on the mat so we can see it.
All right. Oh, right there. So it has our logo on it inside the blade here. And it is super fine, super sharp, lightweight, super lightweight. Now, some people don't like how little these holes are. Well, we're not doing this, all right, you're using your fingertips in here. So if you have chubbier fingers, we're not doing this. Okay, we don't cut like that. We cut very fine with our fingertips. And this curved part is always the top, right? All right, but first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut our stem or our basket handle. All right, now do on here, I want to make sure that I do this right. So 3/16, da, 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 da. Stems, brown, 3/16. Okay, I want to make sure that I cut it the right side. Like I didn't want to cut it a quarter, didn't want to cut that handle a quarter of an inch. All right, so now, if you're new to this, if I want my stems and my vines to look, or my basket handle to look a quarter of an inch, I have to cut it smaller, because by the time I stitch and do that cross stitch over it, it's going to look a quarter of an inch. So if I cut it a quarter of an inch, it's going to look like 3/8. So if I want it to look a quarter of an inch, I'm going to cut 3/16. Now, I have this specifically designed ruler to cut 3/16 in multiples. All right. So now I think for the basket handle, I'm going to need more than one strip. Now how? So the basket handle comes up, but there's plenty of broken spots on here where I'll be able to tuck under an end if this doesn't make it all the way around. All right. Am I too quick for you there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so come back over here. I want them to see this. All right, so I'm just going to trim off an edge, and then I'm going to turn it. Now my ruler is right-handed and left-handed. So if you're right-handed, you want it to say right-hand side facing you. So now I know that I probably only need 2 strips of this handle to make it all the way around. So I'm just going to put it on the 2, and then I'm going to cut 1, slide it over, and then cut 2. Instead of picking it up, moving it over, I can cut multiple stems at one time. So now here's my basket handles. I'm going to set that there, and I'm going to do the same thing for the stem. So on this one, for the stems and vines for the leaf, I'm going to cut this one as close as I can. Now this wool is used throughout the whole project. So I'm going to cut as many stems as I can, and it looks like I can cut 6 out of that little piece.
What ruler is that in particular?
It is my stem cutting ruler. It's specifically for this job. So now I'm just going to move it over, cut another one, move it over, cut another one. Now you can't do this with just a normal ruler. Yes, you can cut 3/16, but every time you're going to have to pick it up, move your stem aside, and go. So there, so see how quickly I was able to create all of those stems. All right, so there's my stems. I'm going to set them right here. It's my basket handles over there. And I could cut a couple more basket handles over there. Now, I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut out my shape here. And what I do is I kind of keep my scissors stationary and move my wool. Something happening, Kaylee? Your battery's dying? Okay. I got some work to do here anyways.
Your stem ruler, how long is that ruler?
All right, this one, I believe, it's long. I have both my mats turned around. It's like 16 inches. And I have those in 2 sizes. And for long vines or for stems. And if you're gonna get one, you get the long one, because that'll cut short stems. If you can afford both, you get both, because then you can cut short and long at the same time.
When you cut, are you cutting to remove the marker line?
Yeah, you want to, I was trying to see what my biggest shapes are. So when I'm cutting, I cut pretty much the line away, because the shapes will be bigger on the other side. So do you see how I kind of just move my wool around, and my scissors is pretty stationary? And again, I'm smoothing as I go here. And to tell you the truth, I like to do this too. I like to go in there, cut some of these apart so I'm not hanging on to those big shapes. So you can do that as well.
Do we rip the homespun background for our blocks like we do with the flannel?
You can, but I'm not going to. I rip the edges when I start. All right, so this probably will have a ripped edge on it. If it doesn't, because if you think people freaked out about flannel, they're going to really freak out about homespun, because it's not as heavy and stiff as flannel is.
All right. The wool version is wool on flannel, correct? They want
Wool on homespun.
Oh, on homespun.
It's on
Okay.
homespun. Everything's on homespun.
They would like to know if are the borders flannel too?
Homespun.
Homespun. So then
The whole quilt is homespun.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, does the fusible web keep the edge of the wool from fraying?
You bet it does. And you're not working with pins and, I've staples and all that kind of stuff. I've seen 1,000 different ways that people use this. Now, what I like to tell people is that the way I do things is the way I do things. It's not the right way. It's not the wrong way. It's not the only way. It's the way I do things. So if you have a different way, you know what? Do whatever you want to do. But look to see what I do, understand why I do what I do. And I've made hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of projects this way, probably in the thousands if you count all my wool projects and stuff like that. But what started this is back in the day, everybody was using freezer paper to cut out their wool shapes, right? And I had just done fusible web with cotton. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I use fusible web on wool? And everybody's looking at me like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I'm using fusible web. So I started doing that before anybody else. And it's what I still do today. I just figured out another thing I'm going to need, girls. Can you find me my tweezers? I thought I had everything up here, but I guess I forgot a few things.
I think you might have answered this one already, but I missed it because I was busy.
Okay.
Are you cutting right on the line, or are you?
I'm cutting the line away because this wool will thicken up on the other side. So when you see me cut, I'm cutting pretty much that line away or right on it. So you see that? I mean, you can still see a little bit of that black, but there's a lot of it still left on my shapes. And remember, this wool stuff is forgiving. It's not rocket science like piecing, if this isn't pretty much perfect, it's not going to fit together. This is why wool applique is so fun, is because if something doesn't work out, we just fudge and figure it out, right? We just do something else, or we move it, or we do it a little closer if we cut something a little short. So that's why wool applique is so much fun and so forgiving. And your pattern never sits next to your finished quilt, so nobody's going to know if you fudge something. I remember one time I was doing blocks. So all of this, I'm talking two things at the same. So all of this stuff right here is all good wool yet. So if you want, you can take these, and I put these in like big, are those half-gallon jars I have, or what are they? They're not quarts, but they're like, I don't know what they're at, but they're big. So I put all my scraps in there. I don't save this little schnibbly stuff like this. I don't save this, but I save the big hunks like this. Nope, not that one. The black Martelli one. There should be one in my drawer in there again. No? Who took all my stuff? There's a scissors. Over at the gathering, my stuff must all be slowly over there. But we got time.
Stem rulers.
Yes.
Are you the only person that carries those, or could they find those in like a local quilt shop?
If your local quilt shop buys them from me.
Perfect.
I design them. They are mine, yes. But other shops, especially if they have wool, possibly could have them. If they don't, please tell them about them so they do carry them. They can get them from us wholesale. I would think that Moda would have them too, for sure, if they order from Moda.
Someone says, I have found some wolves that still like to fray a bit when you are stitching. How do you handle that?
I give it a little haircut.
Oh.
You can do a little fray check, but be careful with fray check because if you put too much on, it'll leave a frosty edge. But I have used it. I use it to put on my homespun on the back of a mat before I stitch it.
What do you do with all your wool scraps?
I put them in jars, and then when I need a little schnibbit, I go in there and find it. Or you can make little penny mats out of them, or whatever your little heart's desires.
Do you ever label your pieces?
Wherever what?
Label your pieces?
If I need to.
It's a complicated.
Yeah, if you want to, if you need to. If it's something that I can tell just by this layout, then I don't. Okay, guess what time it is now? All right, I'm getting all my scraps out of the way.
Okay, one more question. This is a good one, I think. Is it the same method of cutting as far as cotton and wool goes?
Cutting what?
Pieces out?
For the cotton?
For cotton versus wool, is it the same method?
Yeah, it is. It's all, I mean, it depends on what method you want to use for cotton. If you want to do machine cotton applique where you're going to fuse down your shapes, then yes. If you're going to do needle turn applique, you know you have to add a 1/4 inch seam allowance to your shapes. So I think if you already do that kind of method, you already know what to do. I know that sounds very vague, but if you're a needle turn, if you're going to pick needle turn, all right, you're going to know how to do that. You're going to take a class on that. You're going to know that method. So whatever method you want to do, that's what you pick, or you figure that out with. Okay. Now I'm not going to cut everything for you, but well, maybe I will off camera. But just for today, I'm going to cut just the 3 15-inch blocks, because you don't probably want to sit here and watch me cut all of this, do you?
Okay. You starch homespun.
I starch anything that I'm going to piece and patchwork. This is not that. All right. The little bit of sashing or the blocks being sewed. So we're gonna cut our blocks 15 inches. Then we are going to trim them down to 14.5 after we stitch them. And then when they're sewn in the quilt, they'll be 14 inches finished. So when you look at this box, it's 14 inches. So this is going to have a little bit more out here yet. So these will have 1/4 inch yet on each side all the way around that block. Okay. This is a 20-inch ruler. I'm going to lay it on 15. I'm going to cut right here with my rotary cutter. I'm going to line up the bottom, line up that edge right there. I'm probably going to go back and trim that edge too. So I'm going to just get this out of here like that. Okay. I didn't press down hard enough. There. Out of there. Okay. So now what I have here, because it's homespun and the salvages are different on a homespun than they are on a regular fabric, I'm going to leave the salvages on. That's how I'm getting 15, 15, and 15, right? I'm going to get 3 15s that way. Because I'm going to trim down again when we're done being stitched. Put it on the line there. Looks good. Okay. And now this piece right here will probably be a smidge bigger than what I need. And it's actually 15.5. All right. So that's how you're easily going to cut those. Leave the salvages on because we're going to trim this after it's stitched. So now I'm going to slide my ruler over. Here's my 3 blocks. Right now, I'm going to make sure I have fuzzy side up. I'm going to make the decision for this person. They're going to get fuzzy side up. Fuzzy side up. So this quilt, when it's done, and you might have heard me say this before, but I'm not letting anybody drool on this, okay? This is not a quilt that you're going to snuggle up and drool with. This is a piece of art, all right? If you do put it on your bed, you take it off before you go to bed. This is not a snuggle quilt. Those are different quilts. Those are, you know, patchwork, whatever. This is not a snuggle quilt. This is a beautiful quilt. Yes, you can lay it on your bed or behind your bed on a wall, but that's what type of quilt this is.
So people are noticing that you did not first rip your homespun before cutting it to get that straight edge.
The edge was ripped straight.
Okay.
It was already ripped, all right? And it was, and I just cut it. You can rip it if you want, or you don't have to. But like I said, people will freak out if I do, so I didn't, all right?
Now they're freaking out because you did it.
I know.
Yeah.
Make up your mind. It's not going to be that big of a difference. These are 15-inch blocks. The fabric was nice and straight. You see that, you know, I didn't even have to do anything on there. It was cut. So don't worry about it if you don't like ripping. If you love ripping, however, that's a different story. Rip it. Don't be afraid. But I don't want everybody like, oh, mine's all crooked. Yeah, it's going to be crooked. And then you're going to have to go pull it on the bias to get it back straight. So let's go this way. I'm going to trim some of this off because I don't need it. All right, so do you see my beautiful, awesome light table here? So it's just a touch on and a touch off. So the longer you hold it, the brighter it gets. Now, just to help myself a little bit, I'm going to take a marker. And my graphic designer already did it for the stems, but just for the basket handle, I'm going to draw that on there as well. Because I don't really have a super light background here. I have a kind of a medium dark gray. All right, make sure I'm doing this right. Awesome. Now, I don't know, you can see it? Oh, look at that. So you can see those thick lines in there. All right, so when I have a big shape like the basket, I'll just take my tweezers and I'll just take a big score right through the middle of it, and then I can just easily pull this away. So see how my fusible web, I should have did one where I didn't like put it down all the way so it was hard to get off so I could show you that. But I'm kind of efficient and I didn't remember to stop. Now I laid this on here and I can see my line, and I have at least a 1/2 inch all the way around that shape. I have some tape here. What did I just do with that tape? I'm just going to tape down my shape, my background here, so it's not slip sliding all over the place on me. All right, so I'm laying that one down. Now I'm going to grab my stem and I'm going to pull this off like that. And I'm going to lay that under and just follow my line here. And then you see how it doesn't make it to where this stem is here? So I'm going to just come right here and cut it right where it's going to lie under that stem there. And then I'm going to take another piece of basket handle. I know I call it a stem. Little thing like this, and I'm going to touch them. And what's nice about this is you see how it has that pre-stick to it. So that's why we loved our Steam-A-Seam 2 Light. But it also gunks up your needle. Awesome. All right. So there, I have that done already. Now I'm going to take the other stems. I am going to look at my picture too, though. So you should have your picture here as well. So you know what goes over, what goes under, that kind of thing. Oh, and look at that. Right where I busted that handle apart, the stem goes under. Oh, no big deal. Like I said, the pattern isn't laying next to it. So I'm going to go over it, and nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to care. right, people? Say it.
I don't care.
Doesn't matter. So we always like stems and vines in the steam-a-seam. You cannot do this with the other stuff. So this one might not be long enough for that. Tacky, tacky, tacky. Any more questions? We can still talk a little bit.
Yeah. I was just answering one about your light box there.
Yep.
They're wondering where you got it from.
Yep. Did you tell them to go and use the link from my blog?
Yep. I actually just posted. We're about to post a link to that blog post. So if they're interested in where to go to get it, they can just follow the link.
Right. So these light boxes, you can get them cheaper on Amazon than I can buy them wholesale. So do that. I will never sell you something that you can get cheaper somewhere else. But however, if you do use my link, I might make a few pennies off your sale for affiliate. You get that, right? That's what people do now to make a few bucks when they're demoing a product and that type of thing. So just like that, I have all my stems on, but this one looks like it goes under this basket. So we'll do that one under. So this tweezers is amazing, and I'm going to show you why in a second. So there, I just pulled it under the stem. There we go. Okay. I got that one right. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Come down. All right, now, if you don't have one of these fancy light boxes, what's another thing you can do? You can just wing it. All right. Draw your 14-inch square and wing it the best you can from the picture. Or you take a plastic bag like this, and you take your pattern sheet and you trace some of the main things on here, and then you use this as an overlay like this. Like, okay, yep, this is in the right spot, this is in the right spot, and you can use it. I call this a redneck overlay. All right, so now I am going to find all my guys here, and I'm just going to start picking up my shapes and looking at my pattern and kind of laying them down on here.
Can you talk again about the
Overlay?
the fusible that you're using? Yeah, your favorite fusible.
Okay, so my favorite fusible was Steam-a-Seam 2 Light, and that's the stuff that's very ticky and tacky right now, and it's a pain in the butt. So I have switched, and I've started using Heat and Bond Feather Light. It's cheaper. It's so much cheaper. Like Steam-a-Seam 2 was like $9 a roll or yard. Now the Feather Light is only like $2.39. So it's much more economical than the Steam-a-Seam. But the Steam-a-Seam has very cool things that we need for fusing down our stems and vines. So I still use those. So even though I have this light box here, and I know I could lay these flowers down, so I'm not steamed down, so I'll show you what I could do. I could pick this up, lay this down on here, get it in the right spot. So there's different ways you can do this. Like you could put this on, you could fuse it down, you could pick it up as a shape, but I just kind of wing it, all right? So depends on your personality. If you're a perfect Patty, you do it how you want. And if you're not, you do it how I do it. And I just lay it down, okay? If you got to be exact, be exact.
Do we have these light boxes available here?
They are on Amazon.
Nope, I just
the exact same one Heidi has posted a link for.
Have you ever tried something like SF101 on the back so it does not stretch?
You can do that if you want. I don't need it.
And what weight?
Mine.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask, what weight of wool do you we use for this in the store?
Dress weight.
Dress weight.
Not coat weight.
Oh.
dress weight.
I'm learning all sorts of new things. Seriously over here. Like, okay.
Well, they know what they're talking about, don't they?
Yep. And hey, how do you carry your light box? I'm like, very careful.
I don't.
You make Jess carry it.
I made Jess go get it from the retreat house.
Stephanie said it was really hard to cram one in a suitcase.
Oh, I bet.
But I bet you she made it home.
They're expensive. Okay, this light box is expensive, but I use it every day. So I wanted this one. Okay.
That's the heck out of using the window.
Yeah, and there's other ones out there, but this one is the brightest that I have found, and I can see through even black wool sometimes on this. Or some of the ladies brought me fresh cut garden and they have black backgrounds, and I just did what I did, traced my pattern with that marker and made it work, and I could see through. So see how I use this tweezers too? See how amazing that is? Okay, so everything I'm showing you, I also have in my books, and my first one is called Wool, Needle, and Thread, the complete guide to wool applique. So everything that I have learned in the last 20 some years doing wool applique is in that book. Step by step, movement by movement, needle movement, hand movement. I bet you everybody can, in this group right here, can say if they have it or not, and if they love it or not. It's not about fancy stitches. It's about basics. It's about all the tools you need, your basic 10, 12 stitches. Everything I'm showing you today, I explain in detail. I explain about needles. I explain about threads. I explain all those things in that book. So if you don't have it, it kind of is a must to have in your sewing library, and it'll be good forever. You will reference it again and again and again, I promise.
What size is that light box?
This one, I believe, is the 24 by 18. I'm kind of winging these bottom flowers. So just know that. It's not going to be perfect. I'm going to show you. It's okay. It's going to look beautiful. So do you see how efficient you can become at this? One more black one. It always happens, right? Where's the last black one? It's usually like on my belly somewhere. Maybe it's under one of these things. Oh, never fails, I'm telling you. So if that happens to you, don't feel bad. It happens to all of us. All right, look at that baby. Look at how beautiful that is.
Someone says, how do you get it to the ironing board without losing all the pieces? Like, we might lose a couple. Who knows? Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah. Magic.
Give it a little look. I'm going to straighten that bottom of that basket, even though it looks a little crooked. So whenever you use this iron, you should purge it. So I always forget to tell you that. So purge the line. All right, so now we just want to do tiny little presses just to get everything down. Make sure everything looks good. Nothing moved with the air from the iron. Okay, so now it's tiny little presses. Always keeping the iron moving. And you should have an iron that has lots of steam capabilities. And I'm going to be talking a lot about irons coming up. So we have a brand new iron here at Primitive Gatherings that we're testing out, and so far it's amazing, because sometimes these buggers will snot all over your project. So we're hopefully going to get rid of that. All right, so now once I have it all down, I give it a press on the other side as well. Here you can actually iron out the wrinkles, where on the wool you can't do that. So it's always up and down on the wool, and you don't want to scorch your light wools. So always keep that up and down on the other side. So this Steam-A-Seam Feather Light is very, very adhesive. I've never lost any of these shapes. Obviously that tacky one is too, the for the vines, but look at how beautiful it is. How long did that take me? Too long? Yeah. Not too bad though, right? Okay, I hope this helps you. We will do stitching on the next tutorial for Black Star Farms. All right? All right, everybody, this is how you're going to do all the blocks here on out. If there's anything that you need me to do a tutorial on for this, you let me know, but we are going to do stitching, we'll do trimming, some other things like that as well. So I hope you enjoyed our tutorial on Black Star Farms. Hope you maybe even got it in the mail already, but look for the pattern on our website if you are not purchasing a kit from us. If you are purchasing a kit from us, we are printing the pattern for you. We all know that not everybody has a printer, so we hope that you join us along. We do have these exact beautiful fabrics here ready for you, and we'd love to ship them out. So hopefully a bunch more of you will join us in this, and we will run out. That would make my day. All right, everyone, let's get to work. Bye now.